We're about 2 years away from the 2026 edition of the Commonwealth Games, but the games right now seem to be surrounded with a lot of buzz. Good or bad, we're here to find that out as we chat up with the CWG Federation President and Chris Jenkins joining us here on India Day. So, firstly, thank you so much for your time. I want to start with the games. There's a lot of talk about Glasgow finally coming to the rescue for the Federation. Is that really the case? Could you clear the air for us, or are there other avenues still that you're looking at?
So we're in latter stages of conversation still with Glasgow and Scottish Government, running a process to find the replacement host for Victoria. I guess typically you would do a 2-year process, so we try to squeeze it into just a few months. And that's pretty much complete. So we're in the last stages of conversation.
Can it be, said with a sense of surety that Glasgow has come finally to the rescue as far as the Federation is concerned?
Nothing is certain until it's over the line. So we're hopeful. We've always been very confident that there would be a 26 games. But having said that, we spent a lot of time repositioning and reframing the games, looking towards 2030 and 34. So that's been a real priority of mine over the last few months. 26, let's get a host, but also let's look to the future. How do we reframe these games so that we can excite both the Commonwealth and its youth for the future of the Commonwealth Games? So we go into a centenary year in 2030.
The fact that, Victoria pulled out, then it's already out there. Canada's also pulled out from 2030. What does this signify to the future of the games?
So what it's done is given me a catalyst, a boost, really, to re-energise the Commonwealth Games, to redefine it, to take it back to where it should be, to put the Commonwealth back into the Commonwealth Games. And we've done that by taking a significant amount of the costs out from what we used to see in the Games, but also redesigning the model so that you sit down with the host community from day one and you co-create the games. You don't say you must do this, you've got to do this to host the games. It's how do we make this happen for you, the local community, the local government, the national government, our fans, the international federations and our members, so that we have a fantastic games with everyone gets what they want out of the games. So that piece of work's pretty much done. We've taken it to the Commonwealth Sports Ministers in Paris, and I'm going to take it to the leaders of the Commonwealth governments in Samoa in October. We're also talking to all our members and international federations and telling them what the new Commonwealth Games looks like.
When we look at Australia, they're keen as far as the Olympics are concerned, but not as keen because of the finances involved, as we've gotten to learn with regards to the Commonwealth Games. What does that tell you about the financial viability of the Games?
It tells us that we have to reset and reframe it, which is what we've done. So we've probably taken 60% out of the costs that you would have seen for Birmingham or a Gold Coast Games back in 2018. We've also said, let's get our size and our scope and optimise it so that we were attractive for many countries within the Commonwealth, not just the very few largest who can host on their own, but can we have a games where a few countries could host it together in certain regions? So a real redefinition of what's been going on.
Some arguments being made on the sidelines with regards to the games are that there's actually, no country out there that's as excited as, besides the countries in the UK to host the games. How do you want to respond to that argument?
Very different to what I was picking up in Paris just a couple of weeks ago when we sat down with several countries to talk about what the future looks like. So no, I'm energised and really optimistic about the future and finding several possible hosts for 2030 and 34. In fact, we're going out very soon for expressions of interest for the 2030 games, so now we're really confident. And it's by redesigning the games, it means that more countries can host. So there's been a fantastic pickup, great reception to that, so really very confident.
You happen to be in India right now and just have to be talking about cricket. Do you think that it's a bit of a miss on part of the Federation to not have cricket for a long time now, and is that an opportunity missed? Because you look at the Asian Games, were a big success last year in Hangzhou that they took place. So would you think in hindsight it's a bit of a miss?
Well, cricket was in Birmingham. Women's cricket was in Women's T20, and it was absolutely fantastic. So bringing a sport into a games is not just us saying we would like to have this sport. We have to sit down with the international federations, like the ICC. Does this fit within your programme? Does it fit within your sporting calendar? So it's not as simple as saying I want this or I want that. It's working together to come up with the best possible sports programme. But cricket was fantastic success in Birmingham. So
Are you looking at expanding it in 2026? Is there any conversation? Are you in touch with the ICC?
So we're not looking at expanding at the moment. I think 26 would be.
But I'm sorry to cut you short, sir. By expansion, I mean, are you looking at involving male cricketers as well? And I know the cricket calendar is very different from male and female athletes, but is there a conversation of getting the male athletes to be part of the Commonwealth Games as well?
That would be a conversation to be had with the ICC, maybe for 30, 34. So it takes time. Best will in the world, you can't do it in just a few months. So if you're planning to 2030, 34, that's the type of conversation we'll be having with the ICC.
So it's fair to rule it out for 26 or 30?
Not for 30. As I said, I think the important thing is to sit down with the International Federation and say, where does this fit within your aspirations, our aspirations? What can we do together? What type of sport or format would we want in 2030 and 34? So I think it's a conversation for the future.
Talking about the 26 games, many, in the media circles reporting it as a scaled down version. Could you give us some clarity as to how many games we're looking at, how many sports we're looking at?
I think it's widely out there. There's around about 10. And part of that is because there's only 18 months to 2 years to go until the games. You've got
so it's going to be 10 short of what we saw in Birmingham. I think there was 20 games back then.
It's going to be around about 10. And then I would then say, let's look at the scale and the scope of the games going forward. For 2030 and 34, I would see it going back up to more like 15, 17, something like that, which is a really comfortable size for the Commonwealth. And also you've got to have the size of the games attractive enough so that many more countries can host. When you start going up towards 2022, reduces the number of countries you can host. Each time you put a sport in, it costs more money for the host to find. So let's start to think about what does the Commonwealth Games and where does the Commonwealth sit within the sporting portfolio. And a number around about 15 to 17 longer term is probably optimal, but let's have those conversations with potential hosts as we go through the next stages. But something like a 26, given there's only 18 months, at most probably 2 years or under 2 years to go. Let's have the games at a size and the scale that will attract top quality athletes from all around the world. Will be a fantastic success and show for all the spectators. So let's really deliver a fantastic 26 games for our athletes, our members, the sports and the spectators. And I think 10 is a good number for that.
You speak of top athletes in 2026. I can't, I just want to take your attention to the sport of javelin. You'll be having the top 3 athletes from the Olympics in that sport be taking part in the 2026 games, and Arshad and Neeraj, and then there's going to be Anderson Peters as well. Fair to say it's going to be the showpiece event. How excited are you let's say, about it?
Look, I'm really excited about the prospect of athletics and having some real superstars in 26. It's the other thing to think about as well is the Commonwealth Games is integrated, so there are para-athletes. So some of the Paralympic stars will also be in 26 as well. The Commonwealth Games is a fantastic sporting spectacle, and because it's integrated, it touches everyone. So I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, javelin program, and there'll be lots of others. A lot of the swimming competitions will have all the top Olympians there. So yeah, really.
In your endeavor as far as planning for 26 is concerned, where do you see India in all of this? Was there any conversation with India? Were you looking at some point India to raise their hand up and maybe bail the federation out at some point? How do you see India's role as far as the 26 games are concerned?
Well, actually I see India's role longer term than that. So we've been chatting here about 26 and how they can support us, but not necessarily in the games, but how they can support us in lots of the programs we do. So we touched on an integrated game. So we've been talking today about possibly hosting one of our GAPS camps, which is our disability inclusion program here in India. So we've been talking about the future, up to the centenary games of 30, then 30, 34 and beyond. So very long-term planning. We want to work really closely with India, both the Olympic Association, our CGA, and also with the government. And what can we do together to showcase some of the fantastic initiatives that we see within the Commonwealth, and broader still, working within, talking to government departments, and how can we work together in the Commonwealth about health initiatives which are attached to sport, making people more active. So much broader than just the games, thinking everything about social inclusion. So it's been a fantastic few days. We're back very soon as well, but really good long-term planning and building those relationships for the future.
As far as taking the games forward is concerned, sir, and this is my last question to you. As far as going forward, planning for the future is concerned, India being touted as an economic superpower. In such a scenario, how big a role do you see India play in the future as far as the games are concerned?
That's really important. It's key, isn't it? When you've got your largest member by population, it's very exciting to have a really good, close working relationship. This could go anywhere. We've just started the discussions on all sorts of areas, so I'm very encouraged and look forward to working really closely with India in all, whether it's on the sporting side or with the government, throughout the next few years. So it's been a really fruitful trip.
Mr. Jenkins, we appreciate for your time. Thank you so much and wish you all the very best as far as the 2026 games are concerned.
Thank you very much.